British citizens may face conscription in the event the UK enters conflict and goes to war amid rising global military tensions. It comes as the head of the British Army is set to caution ministers today, January 24, about mobilising the nation. General Sir Patrick Sanders is expected that he will say Brits must be ready should a war break out with Russia. The Army Chief is addressing the International Armoured Vehicles Expo in Twickenham, where he will express concerns over the current situation, highlighting the need for a change in the public mindset, reports The Mirror. The news comes just days after a prominent NATO official warned civilians should be prepared for an all-out war with Russia within the next 2 decades. Admiral Rob Bauer said last week, "It is the whole of society that will get involved whether we like it or not." That realization, we didn't talk about that a year ago. The Dutch military chief said it was important that nations are prepared to mobilize civilians in case a global war breaks out, stating governments need to be war ready. He added, "I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow. But we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace. And that's why we have the plans." Talking to Sky News, former Minister Tobias Selwood likened the current situation to 1939, stating the UK's militarily is not equipped to deal with what may lie ahead. Elwood stated, "So Patrick Sanders is saying prepare for what's coming over the horizon. There is a 1939 feel to the world right now," he said. He added, "These authoritarian states are rearming. There's a risk-averseness about the West in wanting to deal with that, and our global institutions such as the United Nations aren't able to hold these errant nations to account." What has Rishi Sunak said about conscription in the UK? When asked about whether Rishi Sunak would rule out conscription, the PM's official spokesman said on Wednesday, January 23, "There is no suggestion of that. The government has no intention to follow through with that. The British military has a proud tradition of being a voluntary force. There are no plans to change that." The number 10 official said hypothetical scenarios about potential future conflicts were not helpful. Previous military conscription in the UK. So how would conscription look like if we are in the unfortunate situation and need to go to war? Drawing comparisons, we can look at the times the UK had conscription twice during World War I and World War II, with enlistment carrying on until the 1960s. During World War I, it was clear conscription would be needed due to a lack of voluntary recruits. Many will be aware of Lord Kitchener's famous "Your Country Needs You" poster. In 1916, the Military Service Act was passed. This legislation required all men aged between 18 to 41 to fight, unless they were exempt due to illness or being in specific professions. In 1918 the age limit was then extended to 51, with conscription continuing until 1920. Shortly before war began, illimited conscription was introduced in 1939, which targeted men aged between 20 and 22. This however quickly expanded, meaning all men between 18 and 41, except for people who worked in key industries like farming, medicine, engineering, and baking. In addition to this, the National Service Act was passed in 1941, which allowed unmarried women between the ages of 20 and 30 to be called up. Men up to the age of 60 also had to take some form of national service. Following World War II, healthy males aged 17 to 21 had to take part in national service, which required them to serve in the armed forces for 18 months and be on the reserve list for 4 years. Due to the start of the Korean War in 1950, this changed to 2 years national service, but it was gradually wound down from 1957 onwards and it ended completely in 1963. At present, there are concerns being shared about the size of the British Army. This week a former chief of the General Staff warned the UK risks a repeat of the 1930s. There is an increased investment in its armed forces. General Lord Dannatt hit out at the declining size of the army, saying it had fallen from 102,000 in 2006 to 74,000 today and falling fast. Join the Daily Records WhatsApp community here and get the latest news sent straight to your messages.